I have driven by countless silos in Minnesota with the mysterious letters ACO displayed at the top. Since I love history, I had to learn more. That led me to the story of Laforest E. Potter of Springfield, Minnesota. Laforest was born August 10, 1858, near Oasis, Wisconsin. He was the son of John A. Potter and Olive S. Weymouth. John and Olive had 10 children, with Laforest being the third child. In 1865, the Potter family moved westward from central Wisconsin to southwest Minnesota. They settled near Madelia in Watonwan County. From there they moved to Blue Earth County. Finally, in 1869, they settled on a farm near Springfield in Brown County, Minnesota, where Forrest worked with his father on the family farm from 1869 to 1885, a relatively long period of time. In late 1885, a chain of events occurred in fairly rapid succession. On October 13, 1885, Laforest's father John passed away. Less than 2 months later, on December 2, 1885, Laforest married Ada Mae Redford. Finally, Laforest purchased a farm of his own just east of Springfield, which he named the Shady Lane Stock Farm. Laforest and Ada Mae had 5 children, but 2 died fairly young. Of the remaining 3, Olive grew up and became head of the Home Economics Department at the Morris State Agricultural School. Fern also helped her sister at Morris. Reuben graduated from the University of Minnesota in 1908 and became involved in farming and stock raising with his father. Laforest Potter was a busy man and became involved in a number of activities. First of all, he was very passionate about raising stock, particularly Hereford cattle. Potter felt that a man who raised stock had a better farm and a better home. He also raised hogs. His breed of choice was the Poland China hog, which was a black and white mix. Finally, he also became involved in raising sheep. However, it was his herd of Hereford cattle that he took the most pride in. He entered his prized herd in numerous cattle shows and competitions, like this one at the University of Minnesota. Laforest also took part in various county and state competitions, where his Herefords were quite popular. One of the biggest competitions was the Minnesota State Fair, which was held in the Livestock Pavilion on the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. Even on the state level, his cattle took home many blue ribbons. His son Reuben and Reuben's daughter Lydia were also involved in Hereford competitions. They too collected numerous ribbons. At various times of the year, the Potters sold off their extra cattle, which were highly desired by other farmers and stockmen. Laforest was also deeply involved in organizing and educating the farmers of Minnesota. Potter was involved in numerous agricultural organizations, including the Brown County Farmers Association, the Hereford Breeders Association, the Springfield Farmers Elevator Company, the Minnesota Livestock Breeders Association, the Minnesota Farm Bureau, the Farmers Club, and the Minnesota Farmers Institute. As a farm leader, Potter attended hundreds of picnics, rallies, fairs, and meetings across the state of Minnesota. On June 17, 1915, he was a featured speaker at a picnic in Tracy, Minnesota. These picnics were a whole-day event featuring band music, sports, dances, and food. Baseball was a popular sport at the time. On several occasions, Potter held these events at his own farm. This is a photograph of a Farm Institute meeting at Kirkoven in 1912. This group of farm families was bundled up, so it must have been held during the cold season. Potter felt that farm children needed clubs, training, and competitions to help them become the next generation of successful farmers. Potter stated, "If we can teach our boys to show the same interest in the game of livestock raising that they show in football, a great work will have been accomplished." Laforest also felt that farmers had money to spend, but they had been slow to improve their homes. He told farmers they needed to modernize their farm homes, by adding simple conveniences to help their wives. Potter told his audiences that good homes should come before automobiles. He proclaimed that the farm wife has as much right to the benefits of labor-saving conveniences and a pleasant home in which to work as the husband has to improved machinery and fine farm buildings. Mrs. Potter, Ada May, also accompanied her husband on many of his speaking engagements and was a speaker herself at times. She told people that the average farm wife works 15 hours a day and 87 out of 100 have never had a vacation. Ada May stressed the need for a break every now and then. Boys and girls were the most important crop produced on the farm, and they needed time from their parents too. Laforest held several state political offices. He served in the Minnesota Senate from 1915 to 1918. In his role as senator, he pressed his farm agenda. He encouraged diversified farming using modern methods and worked to educate farmers on what that entailed. One local newspaperman called him a veritable rock of honesty and good judgment. Additionally, he was appointed by the governor as a regent to the University of Minnesota from 1920 to 1922. He continued his numerous speaking engagements, which included the opening of the new brick school in Lamberton in 1915. He also spoke at the opening of the new brick railroad depot in Springfield in 1917. Finally, Potter practiced what he preached. Improving his own farm was highly important to him. In 1913, he was heavily involved in initiating a state competition for home builders to construct a modern farmhouse for $3,500 or less. He believed that every community should have a model farm to present a practical example to other farmers. The Potter farm, known as Shady Lane Stock Farm, was a showpiece. The entrance to the farm was flanked by shade trees and an orchard, with numerous farm buildings on the property. The barn and silo were impressive. The barn was constructed of wood and was shaped like an L, with the name of the farm prominently displayed on the front. The silo, built in 1911, was made of curved clay blocks from the Ochs brickyard across the road. In this picture, it shows a man on top of the silo, a man on the ground, and a dog as well. ACO silo blocks were a rusty orange color. Here is a view of the opposite side of the barn, and this is a view from further away. In this photo, the words Shady Lane Stock Farm do not yet appear painted on the barn. On the opposite side of the entrance was the new Potter farm home. The house was constructed in 1913 of brick from the Ochs brickyard, which were also a rusty orange color. You can see that Potter's new brick house was pretty elaborate. If you didn't know better, you would think this was a city house. The old Potter farmhouse also stood on the property, which was made of wood. This photograph shows the old house in the background, with the family enjoying a picnic in the yard. Laforest also had electrical and water lines running to all his farm buildings. Potter did quite well for himself. In 1916, he purchased a new Studebaker automobile. He also followed his own advice, since he had first improved his farm home in 1913. This 1886 plat map shows where the John A. Potter farm was located. Remember, John was Laforest's father. Laforest's initial farm was just to the southeast. 14 years later, in 1900, this plat map shows how Potter's land holdings had expanded, and where the Ochs brickyard was located. Much like Laforest Potter, Adolph C. Ochs wanted to help farmers by making good building material. He believed that his clay brick and clay blocks should be used in all farm buildings. As mentioned before, ACO curved block were used in the silo. Adolph Ochs realized the power of advertising and wanted his silos to be easily recognizable. On top of the Potter silo, the words "The Silo" were evident, with the ACO logo in between. This was the Adolph C. Ochs trademark, the letters A, C, and O fancily arranged on top of each other. So in essence, the silo said, "The ACO silo." Later Ochs silos were just labeled with the letters ACO. Making a hollow block silo is a fairly labor-intensive process, which involves cementing row after row of curved blocks on top of each other. At various intervals, steel cables were inserted into the blocks for additional strength. Potter described his silo blocks as being 1 foot long, 8 inches wide, and 5 inches deep. The silo itself was 16 feet in diameter and 37 feet high. He kept meticulous records. For their work, the masons earned about $90. The entire cost of the silo was about $340. In 1928, both Adolph and Laforest received high honors. Adolph was named a Master Farm Homemaker of Minnesota, and Laforest was named a Master Farmer of Minnesota. As of the year 2020, only the Potter brick farm home remains. This house held their 25th, 40th, and 50th wedding celebrations, and the marriages of their 2 daughters, Olive and Fern. Laforest Potter died on May 1st, 1942 at the age of 83. Adolph died on June 14th, 1951 at the age of 86. That concludes the video. Please check out my websites at mnbricks.com and chaskabrick.com.